Hey YouTube, for today's video I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do facial expressions for your character. Here we're going to do different type of faces, so stay tuned and keep watching. So what I'm creating is 6 different expressions. I already have my plain face in sight of my character, and now we want to focus on anger. So while I'm drawing the eyeballs, we have to think of an anger expression and think of how our face scrunches up or how it is when it is angry. So you want to keep eye socket nice and big and narrow the eyes just a little bit. It doesn't have to be like too much, but just a little, where you can see more of the roundness of the eyes. I didn't add too much highlights, and I just went in heavy with the blue to make her pupils a lot more darker, and then her eyebrow with the frown. And then I added like 2 little slashes underneath that brow so that it can give it more like definition, if you want to put it that way or say it that way. Well, yeah. And I'm doing the same thing to the second eye. It's basically mimicking the first way I have it. When I'm done with that, I move the eyes to the side because they look kind of close. And usually when I do rough sketches, because this is going to be a sketch, it's not going to be like fully done, I just move them to the side with my selection tool. I made the nose, and then I'm making the mouth open, so it's like she's screaming at someone, like, ah! So what I'm doing now is I'm showing some teeth, because when you're angry, you show your choppers. And I didn't show the bottom ones, but I did show it all the way back so that you know that her mouth is extremely open and she's just not having it. So I make the lines across the face, and that expresses, you know, the little ridges on your nose that you get when you're angry. Now I am doing disgust. So disgust was pretty much a hard one for me. I couldn't think of what a face would look like. Like, usually you close your eyes and scrunch up your face, but with animated characters you have to be animated. Like, you have to be, it has to be dramatic. If it's not dramatic, it's not going nowhere. So I'm creating my eyeballs, and I'm again leaving the eye sockets pretty big, like her plain Jane face. And yeah, moving them to the side because I was making them a lot very close, and that doesn't work out for my character if it's very close. So I'm starting off with a smaller pupil. So this is like a I can't believe pupil. It's really, really small, and it doesn't have any detail really to it. It might be a little bit dark around the edges. And I moved her nose higher where it almost reaches her socket, and I made a droopy mouth. So the droopy mouth is because she's like, ugh, like the face that you make when you go, ugh. And I put lines on the side like the usual animated characters have, and ridges on her nose because her nose is supposed to be scrunching up. So I noticed that expressions happen with the eyebrows a lot, and I just made her eyebrows like cricket, like one cricket and one downward, like almost angry but not angry because it's not close to her eyelashes. And that's how you get disgust. It's just face. You can move the lines up a little bit more and just make it dramatic, like, and you can even add lines to the other eye. So the next face we're doing is fear. This one is fun because everybody knows how fear is. Your pupils are very well, your eyeballs get shown more, and they're smaller and rounder, and you're like, oh, you show your mouth open, or you'll show some darkness to your face. So while I'm drawing the eye sockets, I was thinking about keeping the eye sockets still big and normal like they usually are. And what we're gonna do is make her nose, and, you know, keep it at a normal rate, you know, normal from her eyes to her face, you know, to the middle of her face. And we're going to make the eye sockets just a little bit bigger than discussed, and have a little bit of highlights, and underneath her eyelids there will be slashes, and that will display a little bit of drama to her eyes, and her eyes are going to look like they're worried, so her eyebrows is, you know, curved upwards, and then they're going to have lines like the angry lines but upward, so it can make it look more worried and fearful. And then lines across her face, and this is like supposed to be the shadow, where you put shadow at. And then her mouth is going to be open, because she's like, oh, get away from me. Don't come next to me. So she will be showing her bottom teeth, because her jaw will drop. When you're fearful, your jaw drops. So I took like a shading airbrush tool and went over it, so that you know what a shade, you know, the shade would look like. So the next face is Joy. Happy, happy, joy, joy. And what I'm doing is I want to keep the eye sockets also big, because when you're happy, you're happy. But you know, you want to keep it at a normal, like her normal plain Jane face bigness. And think about Joy. What would you do when you're happy? You smile, or you know, you giggle, and that can that makes your cheeks go up and smile. So I'm making her eyeballs normal. Wow. Okay. Eyeballs normal, and I'm gonna give it like a little bit of a bubbly type of shade, well, highlights in the bubbles, and make her eyes a little bit bright. So it's just a light sketchy type cross-hatching way. And I'm gonna give her some eyebrows, and they're gonna be upward, like, oh, I'm happy. So your eyes are not frowning when you're happy. They are normal, and they're upward. So once you're done with the eyebrows, you start working on the mouth, and the mouth will be a nice cheese smile, like when you're cheesing towards the camera. So I made it box-like, and after I did that, I went ahead and added some teeth, because you will see your teeth when you're happy or smiling. And then the little blushies, like Mark Whitty says, blushies. Next one is surprised. And surprise is like, oh my God, no way, you got that for me? Or how could she, you know? It's just we want a happy surprise, though. We don't want a scary surprise. So again, we want to keep the eye sockets nice and big, and you know, show those lovely whites in the eyes. And then after that, we want to create small eyes, just like we will do with fear and disgust, but a little bit more bigger than fear and disgust, because you're not scared or anything like that. You're just surprised. So I add a little bit of highlight, which is that bubble, and her pupil is showing. Her eyebrows will be upward, like more higher than Joy. So it'll just be up there, like, oh my God. You know how your eyebrows just go up. And after that, you create your nose, and you will create your mouth, and your mouth will be a little bit open. It wouldn't be too much open. It'll just be like, oh, you know. So after you're done with that, you will, well, I messed up and I made it too little, so I'm just showing you how big the eyes should be. It's always bigger than fear, of course. And you know, you just want them big and glistening. And then after that, you hit it off with some blushies on the side, like, oh my God. And I opened her mouth just a little bit more, give it that dramatic feel, because that's what you want in your characters, dramaticness, when you come up with these faces. So the last and final one is Sadness. Oh my god, Sadness. So this one, you want to make your eye sockets very small, like just a little smaller than what they normally are, and bring the lashes down just a tad bit. I flatten the lashes, and then I just make the curves as if it were to look like on the side of her eyes. So it's just flat, and then, you know, just that little curve, just to show you that her eyes are lower. And then I added on her eyelid, I added little creases because her eyes are lower, so her eyelids would have or show creases. So when it comes to the bottom of the eyelash, you want to point that a little bit upward, give it like a little, you know, a slight bend, and then make her eyes extremely highlighted with bubbles, because she would be very, very sad, and her eyes will look darker. And what I'm doing is I'm adding tears, because with sadness you have tears. Somebody broke her heart and she's just crying. Oh my god. So yeah, her eyes, I'm shading them in darker, because when you're crying, you don't really see the color of your eyes. You see your pupils and you're just crying. And then I'm pointing her eyebrows upward like I did with Fear. It's just going upward. It looks like a worry look. And I'm adding the little the definitions on the side of the eyebrows to give it more a dramatic look. Now I'm rolling the tears down her face, because tears do roll down your face. And then after that, I'm adding little bubbles in the bottom just for the dramatic look. And then after that, you would create her nose, and then her mouth would be open, because she'll be like, oh, why did you hurt me? Why did you break my heart? It wouldn't be that open, you know, it wouldn't be like open as bad. And then I moved her face a little bit down because it was a little bit up, and I added blushies because she's very heartbroken. So her face would have that dramatic blushy type look. And there you have it. You have your 6 different expressions besides your your plain face. You have your anger, disgust, fear, joy, crying, which is sadness, and surprise. So that's it for the video. I hope that it taught you how to make different type of faces and work more with the character. I feel like this technique does help with getting familiar with your character. Like if you have trouble with making different type of expressions on your character, this technique would help you with getting familiar with your character so that you can just sketch that bad boy with no problem. So I suggest that you guys do continue on drawing different type of expressions on your character just to get familiar with it. My husband had got me this book called Making Comics by Scott McCloud, and he was talking about mixing up different type of expressions, like anger plus happiness equals equals a different type of facial expression. So I think I want to make a challenge for myself and do 100 different type of expressions. So keep in mind for that. keep an eye open for that, because I am in the process of, you know, getting faces down and getting familiar with my character Fuji. So if you haven't checked out Celestial Pulse, the links will be below, and the first chapter is for free. Also, if you haven't subscribe now and hit that like if you like this or it taught you something. Thank you for watching my video, and have an awesome rest of the day.